Hey Ellen, it's Sarah. Thank you so much for letting me have the privilege of looking at your chart. It is always so beautiful to get to know someone a little bit deeper, and this is the way I do that by looking at your chart. And it just tells its own story of your own unique experience, and it is hopefully going to be used as a tool for you to feel validated and aligned with yourself and what you feel motivated to do and driven to experience. So we'll just jump right in. I tend to talk about whatever pulls me in. And usually it starts with the big three, talking about your sun, moon, and ascendant. And then from there, we just see where it wants to go. So you are a Capricorn sun, a Capricorn rising, and an Aquarius moon. So for you, that is two Earths and an air. It's a very heavy, heavy Saturn influence in your big three. So this gives the ability for you to be grounded and resilient in all that you experience in this life, right? Because our ascendant is how we start our process in this world. It's the energy of you breathing it in when you first were born. You breathe in the energy of whatever the sign is rising on the horizon. So for you, since that is Capricorn, that's ruled by Saturn, which you are also born in the season of Saturn, which is having a Capricorn sun. So you have this energy as soon as you come into this world that you're really going to be working hard for things in life. You really want to build something for yourself in this life. The Capricorn Saturn energy is setting the foundation, doing everything in a methodical tenacity that you're going to do it right the first time and you're not going to do anything that is quick fixes that fail. You want to be someone and you want to build things that are reliable and that stand the test of time. So people who meet you and close friends of yours might say that about you. They might say, Ellen is someone that I can count on. She's responsible. When she says she's going to do something, I believe her. That's also because Mercury is in your first house, and our first house is self. This is the relationship you have with yourself. This is your brand. This is how you appear to people in this world. It can be physical self, but it's also your signature, who you are. Your sun falls in that house, and so does your moon. So it really makes you someone who people feel like they want to gravitate towards. When the sun's in our first house, you have this gravitational pull about you. People tend to want to be in your orbit almost. So although we say like the world, nothing revolves around us, right? We're not the center of the universe. But for you, sometimes that might feel like that. And in the Saturnian kind of way, it might feel that you might feel like you carry the weight of the world sometimes on your shoulders. Having a Capricorn sun in the first house can make you feel like you've always had to maybe carry more than your share of the load in life. Sometimes early in life, you feel like you had a lot of responsibility placed on you, or since you're just so capable and competent, having Mercury in the first house in Aquarius makes you a very quick learner, great at being able to share ideas and receive information, that people just think that you are somebody that can handle stuff, that you can work well under pressure. You can give it to Ellen. She'll take care of it. Yeah, if no one else showed up, but Ellen did. So we're going to let her be the authority, even if you're not fully qualified, maybe. You have this air of competence and people know that even if you don't know, you're going to figure it out because you're not going to drop the ball. It's not going to drop with you in your hands. You're going to make it work. And even if you have to just figure it out as you go, think on your feet or fake it till you make it kind of energy, people count on you and they really feel like when they meet you, they're seeing who you are. So having that sun and the moon in the first house It has this like heart on your sleeve kind of energy that when the sun and the moon are so close together like that, who you are in how the world perceives you through your sun and how you feel inside, even though they're in different signs, they're so actually close together that it's almost like people just have a glimpse into your heart when they meet you. And it's this ability to really present yourself as unguarded, even if you are guarding yourself, even if you're not letting people all the way in, you have this ability to make people believe that they're really seeing you. So it makes people want to be around you, and it makes you have an upper hand in a lot of situations where other people hesitate or they're having internal conflicts. You come off pretty confident, even if you're not, because the truth is they are in different signs. So a Capricorn Sun and Aquarius Moon person is not always internally agreeing. There can be a detachment there where Earth sign really wants to do what the next right thing is as far as being responsible and whoever needs them. Aquarius moon has this emotional detachment that is really thinking at the big picture, at all the pieces of the puzzle coming together. So they want to do things that are going to make that big picture happen. This is the visionary. This is the almost the rebel sometimes if people aren't getting it fast enough. So you might be 3 or 4 steps ahead of everybody else, and you see the bigger picture, and you see that people are wasting their time doing things that aren't going to help get us there. But your Capricorn Sun says, well, I'm going to be more patient and I'm going to work with the people where they are because that's my duty to them. And your Aquarius Moon can be like, forget it, forget them, let's go. Like, I already know what I'm doing here. So you do have this internal difference in how you feel and how you actually present yourself. But to the outside world, we don't see that because with the sun and the moon actually being close together, we see a friendly face, a willing to cooperate, and a competency that we can work together. So you have the ability to keep a good poker face is kind of where this is going for someone who has that situation. And you can decide who wins. With a Mercury Aquarius, you're always going to have a very active mind. It is just something that you probably have always experienced. Maybe you talk really fast when you have a really good idea, or maybe you're just the first one to break the ice in a new crowd. But the mind is a gift in this setting because here you have the ability to build bridges of communication with other people. In the first house, this is how people see you as someone who is intelligent and is a good speaker. So people might lean on you to help be the social lubricant of the situation. That might be a really good strength for you. And you actually enjoy understanding the other person, getting to know someone's story. You have a very curious mind and you really want to know what people are thinking. It is exciting to you. You crave mental stimulation. The worst thing that could happen is you go somewhere and no one wants to talk. Like a silent retreat would be maybe a really scary idea for you. You don't want to be stuck in your own head. You actually want to be mentally stimulated by outside forces. You want to know what people are thinking, why they do the things they do. And that curiosity and that impulse to know really gets you starting a lot of your relationships in this life. So let's leave the first house and let's go to this next big cluster here. We have this Libra energy up here in your eighth house. So the eighth house itself is known for being more private. It's a side of us where we lean into maybe spirituality, not necessarily in a traditional sense of like dogma, that would be more the ninth house, but this wanting to know things that are not seen. It's like our house of metaphysical studies, um, where contrasting. our second house is material things that we own. So the opposite of that then is the eighth house of things that we don't own, things that maybe we have to work together with other people to achieve, or things beyond the material world altogether. So this is where we start looking into spiritual mediumships, occult things, being curious about the unexplained, the paranormal, the in-between world. You have a lot of energy here, so it suggests that you might be someone who really has an interest in knowing things that are not something that you can actually hold or discover with just your senses. And one of those things is how to intimately connect to someone on like a psychological or spiritual level. And when you have relationships in your life, this can be really important to you that you really know the person that you're spending your life with. Or this could suggest that you don't need a whole bunch of people. You're not really in it for meeting all the people. You would rather get to know a couple people all the way through. So this is where you see these lines here. We have the eighth house talking to your first house that we just talked about. So your Aquarius moon is actually ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is making a trine. So this is a little bit like technical sounding, but it is a friendly aspect. They like each other. And when the ruler, the planet that rules a certain sign, is happy, like it is here, you get this boost of like the expression. So where an Aquarius moon sometimes has a hard time telling people exactly how it feels, when it makes a positive aspect to this Uranus, it's saying, well, maybe you don't want to tell everybody how you feel, but this is a great position where you actually do have something that you want to lovingly share with somebody who's special to you, where your Aquarius Mercury is really good at starting a conversation, making people feel comfortable on a deep level. You actually have a desire to go even further into that. You're actually not here just to mingle. You need to mingle. You need that mental stimulation, but you actually want more than that. You want to know what this person or a couple people are thinking forever. Like you want to keep these pathways of communication open with somebody important to you and then go back for more. Relay that message and keep it going and doing it in an energy of emotional support. This is how you nourish others. And this is how you receive that nourishing feeling back. And in the sign of Uranus to your moon, in the same sign as your Mercury, it lets me know that you have this really deep desire to be wowed too. Like you have a lot of responsibilities already, I think. A Capricorn rising person ha knows work. They know routine. They know being somewhere on time. They know the deal. They know how to organize. They probably know how to manage. They came into this world knowing how to be that person, but there's this energy in your chart that is saying, I want to know what it feels like to just be blown away. I want you to tell me something outrageous that blows my mind, and I have to pick up the pieces because I've just never heard anything like that before. Or you're making me think something that I've never thought before. You're making me have a totally different perspective than I thought I knew, and I love it. And I want that. I want to be in your shoes completely, that I forget what I even thought before I came into this conversation. Like that's the kind of love language that you have with somebody. That's the kind of love you can give somebody when they think, I can't tell somebody this. This is too wild. They're gonna think of me different. They're gonna judge me for this. Your love language being the moon, which is how we really nurture each other and how we feel emotionally seen and supported. Your love language is saying, hit me. I want to hear what's the wildest thing you've got? Where did you feel so outside of the norm that you barely talk about it? Because the eighth house is all about that, being outside of what we normally talk about. It's like the taboo house. Like you could talk anything like this is like sexual, this is like trauma, this is like maybe like any kind of like codependency things that you want to talk about. You have an ear for that and a heart for that. And this is a strength for you. These blue lines are real places of ease. It comes naturally to you. People might need that from you, and you know how to pull it out of them, even when maybe they don't know how to actually share. And this is one of the strengths of your chart, and it's really beautiful. And it's in the sign of Libra, where Uranus is here. And that's special because it shows this partnership ability. That shows that you can bring a sense of balance and harmony in a partnership where equals here kind of way. So it gives people this ability to trust you. Although, your Capricorn energy can come off as the authority of something. It's very like boss energy. But this part of you is saying, no, like we're the same. There's no judgment. I'm not better than you. You're not better than me. We're coming in as equals here. And this is a safe space. You can tell me something and I'm going to hear you. And you're going to walk away feeling that you're not in this alone because that's what Libra does. And you have a Libra stellium, is what we call that. A Libra stellium is now there's two of us. No one comes and meets a Libra person and feels alone anymore. So you just have a really good ability to provide that partnership to someone. And then you just actually really you connect with people who have been through something or like are excited about things that are odd or have really wild stories. And you actually love it and they love you for listening to them and not judging them. And then with these other planets here, this is our planet of luck and expansion. You can be really a gift to somebody. You can bring somebody luck, and you actually have luck here when you're living in that truth about yourself. So when you're bringing a sense of balance and partnership, cooperation to this area of your life that is heavy, or there's deeper conversations here, there's this intimacy that not everybody gets. You have a way of feeling blessed yourself and blessing others. So it's important to you then in this life that you would explore this area any chance you get. You're being called to, in a way, study this area of your life where it's the spiritual realms, the metaphysical, the not so much philosophy and religion, but the rocks that we carry with us. Like, what did you pick up on the way? Tell me about it. I'm going to help you get through it. And you help others and they help you in this area when you're really connected on that spiritual level of there is, there's a reason we met. There's a reason that something happened to you and me, and we're going to connect here on this. And then I'm going to help you find peace in it, and so are you to me. This is I'm better together than I am alone in that type of stuff. In those types of areas, I should be speaking with somebody else about that, and I should be there for somebody else too. And I think that's really interesting because overall in your chart, you don't have a ton of partnership energy. When I first looked at your chart, I thought, well, this is a pretty independent woman. Like she actually is here to really learn about who she is in her experience and her own experiences and personality wise. Like this quadrant right here is pretty busy. And that's somebody who maybe had to go through a lot in life, but you learned through the bumps in the road earlier in life about who you are, what you're made of, what you're going to do. You're not really needing a lot of partnerships or friendships. You don't you're not so much learning about yourself through other people in this life as you're learning about yourself through the stuff that you've already had to handle. So you have a pretty strong sense of self by the time you were younger, is what this would suggest. That whatever you went through early on in life, it made you who you are, and you're pretty comfortable with who you are. So to see that, it's like, well, I don't really need a ton of people to people interactions to learn who I am. I don't need a lot of like projections. I don't need you to show me. I don't need a lot of like role models. I'm good. But this area would say, actually, you don't. You already know who you are, but what do you know about those people in your life? I bet you want to know more. I bet there's healing that could be done through being in these deep relationships and really intimate with other people who have also been through things, which is pretty special because the energy here is one of coming out peaceful and blessed and feeling excited about learning that there's still something to learn about people. So the job is never done. So we'll move on now from that to the other side of your chart. So we have these red lines, and that's your oppositions. Oppositions are where we're trying to find balance in things. So we talk about the eighth house first because you have that stellium there. So that's very powerful. It's really motivating you. But on the opposite side of that, we have the second house. And these are things that you have. These are yours, where this house is what you get with another person. This is what you do for yourself down here in the second house. The first house is who you are. The second house is what you have. And here you have Venus in your second house. And I love that because the second house is traditionally ruled by Taurus. Venus rules Taurus, and you have Venus in the second house. So that is a fortunate placement. People love to see that. That's abundance, right? You feel that you want it and you get it, is a Venus in the second house thing. And you love the things that you have. It's this pride in having things, but it's this harmonious feeling of being surrounded by the things that you earned. And I just love that for somebody who has a Capricorn chart because you do know what it's like to work hard. So I love to see that when you do work hard, you do get the things that you want, and you should. And if you're not getting the things that you want, you should reconsider that because this is part of how you show yourself love is by having nice things. It doesn't mean that you have to be a shopaholic, but it means that you have some physical, tangible proof of how you feel about yourself. It's very important for a Venus second house person to have things in their life that is a token of how they feel about themselves. So if that means being a minimalist because you love that, that brings you joy and peace and harmony, and you think that's beautiful, then that's great. That's fine. But I feel like most people, especially what you have an exalted Venus here, Pisces is what we call exalted in Venus. It expresses itself the best in this sign. So you really have the ability to feel very comfortable in love. You can access those feelings of joy and harmony and appreciate beauty. You might have this very like sensitive taste for art or music. You might just be really sensitive to beautiful things. And conversely, you can be turned off by not beautiful things. So it's worth knowing that in life, you should really make an effort to aesthetically please yourself, that you should have music on that sounds nice to you, artwork that makes you feel like positive emotions. You want to make sure that's aligned because that's a really big strength in your chart. To have an exalted sign, it gives you this really open channel for receiving love and giving love. So, and it's not blocked by anything. So I think that's wonderful. Like this is one of those things where you're like, yes, like I got that. That's wonderful. So do those things. This is saying that this is the house of our finances too. This is how we make our money. And it's saying that you don't have to feel like you're going to be without. Sometimes Capricorn rising just feels like the floor is going to fall out sometimes. Like I know I'm gonna make this decision and that's gonna be the one that the floor drops out. It can't be good forever. But Venus in the second house is saying, well, financially, don't worry about it. It is going to work out. You do have a blessing here. Your finances work out. So cross that one off the list because it's it's already here. That's not something that you chose because I believe you co-create your chart. That's not something that you've really wanted to have to experience. You wanted to be able to rely on yourself for what you need and you wanted it to work out. And that's what this is saying. Our second house is you. When you put in your effort, you see the results. So there you go. We have, some people would argue, well, Chiron's in here, and that is our wounded healer. And I'm going to say, since it's later over here and it's in what we call a conjunction to your north node, I'm going to say this is more talking about your own values and how your red line here is opposing Uranus. That this conversation is different than the one that Venus is having separated. So we will now move on to the Chiron and North Node, but this doesn't negate anything that Venus is doing over here. This is a good energy, and I shouldn't say good. This is fortunate. This is ease. Because I don't think anything's bad. I think you choose your chart. So it's something you wanted to learn. It's something you want to experience. And Chiron is how we learn to heal. And it's also in Pisces. And this is this spiritual, mystical energy of Pisces. It's where we learn to be compassionate, empathetic. We learn to heal ourselves through emotional work that we do, emotional maturity and growth, giving ourselves permission to feel things all the way through and giving ourselves this acceptance and loving, flowing, releasing energy. So I like to think of Pisces like the river that's just flowing, or even like an ocean that the tides are moving. Moving water is the energy of Pisces. It doesn't stay stuck anywhere. Where some of our other water energy can be very deep, it doesn't go anywhere and we sit in things of the past. Yours is in Pisces and it's saying, my strength and healing comes from my ability to feel it and release it. Let it come in, let it flow out. And it's tied to your North Node, which is in a different sign, so that is always like, well, there's different psyche processes going on here. I have a North Node, which is my journey in this life, my soul's journey, what it really wanted to experience in this life. It's where I want to go. And it always is opposing what we call the South Node, where I've been. So when we talked about your eighth house, about the gifts that you give other people, of bringing them peace and harmony to whatever trauma they've been through, this desire to want to know people on a deeper level and to feel like you're really intimately connected to somebody. That is the gift that you bring into this world. Astrology has this reincarnation idea if you look at a few of the symbols here. And this is one of them because a south node is hinting at this idea that maybe we've been here before. This is evolutionary astrology. This is where we start at the rising sign and we go all the way through to the end. But then, we might do this again. So you don't have to believe that, but it's important to hear that, I think, because it gives you the understanding of the importance of the South Node, that you were so good at this, either in the beginning of this life or even into the past life, that you wanted to keep this energy, this Libra energy of being someone's safe place. There's no judgment. I got you. You can't scare me. I'm only here to help you get through this. Like that's your superpower. You came in with that. You can rely on that your whole life. It is something you don't even have to work on. But the North Node is where we want to go. It's saying, okay, I know that I have this gift, but I need to release it at some point so I can move into this other area that's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's necessary for me to grow. So this is our Aries energy. And you also have Aries in Saturn, which is also important, and we'll talk about that. But for now, this Aries energy is like a me energy. Me and only me. I need to get something started for myself, and I need to do it fearlessly, courageously. I need to do it in this way that if you don't let me do it, I will fight you for it. This is the war energy. Mars is our planet of war, of action, of getting what we want because we need it. We are here to make this planet happy. And in the sign of Aries, we need to honor that some of us don't feel comfortable with that war energy. Mars can be a little bit uncomfortable for people who don't like to be so headstrong. And I think your chart has that energy, right? Anyone with a South Node in Libra is not really loving to be aggressive or even assertive sometimes. But with the Capricorn energy, I don't think you mind being assertive. I think that's fine. But you really don't like to step on people's toes. You're not somebody who wants to get a bad review. You know, you want people to see you in a sign of cooperative, not, oh, there she goes, just getting her way again. But this Aries in the second house is saying, I actually need to know that I can get what I need. When push comes to shove, like I am getting my share of what I need. I'm not here to always just make sure the other person is satisfied. And in this life, I'm going to assert myself a little bit more and I'm going to have no regrets. I am going to go for the things that I want in life. I'm not going to just be on the fence about things. I'm going to make decisions. I'm going to go for it. And in the second house, it's because I really need to show myself that I'm worth it, that people aren't more entitled to things in life than I am. I am somebody who deserves to get what they want. And I value that in myself. And I'm going to work really hard to make sure I show myself in this life that even if it hurts, because Chiron sometimes is pain, even if it hurts, even if it blows up in my face sometimes, I'm going to know that I did it because I respect my decisions and I don't need to always have other people's approval of what I'm doing. I don't need you to be comfortable. I don't need you to be happy about it. I need to do things for myself that make me know that, hey, I gave myself a voice. I gave myself a chance to do what I wanted to do because my heart, my intuition told me to do it. And because Aries is all about heart, like they they feel passion and a drive and this like intuition on the spiritual level that I need. I'm being called to do this. So when you get that burst of fire, because really between the two, that's the only fire in your chart. So that would say that most of the time you're a pretty logical person with all the air. You're probably a really good at making a pro and con list. You're probably really rational most of the time. But there's this little bit of time here, this 1% where you get this idea, or not even an idea, a feeling, an impulse, this little spark of something. And you're just like, should I indulge it or should I just put it out? Like, I don't have time for this. That's not part of my schedule. I didn't plan for that. I tried to ignore it, but it just builds and builds. And then you're just like, you know what? I feel that. Our second house is what you have. And in the second house, it can be our values. Some people say that the first house is what we have. We can't shake it. It's who we are. But the second house, we have to work for it a little bit harder to prove to ourselves that we're worthy of it. Whatever falls in the second house, I'm trying to convince myself, I'm trying to do esteemable things to feel that esteem in myself. So I have to lean into this house a little bit. And when you lean in to that feeling, that intuition of what it is that's really setting your heart on fire, maybe for no reason, that's when you're moving towards this north node and it heals something in you over time. Maybe it hurts a little bit too, but the goal of Chiron is that you're honest, and that's what Aries is very honest about what is hurting you so that you can face it and heal it. You know, when it's in the second house, it can be questions of your own self-esteem. You know, am I too appeasing to the people that are close to me because I don't think I'm as worthy as them to be happy or to get what I want. And that's just a shot in the dark explanation. There could be a million things, but that's an example of you want to make sure, and even more so, you want to even be selfish sometimes. That's what the North Node is saying. I want to know what that feels like in this life. At some point, I want to get to where I trust what I want is so true and needs to be validated that, like, I'm not even going to doubt it anymore. I'm just going to go for it. And there's healing in that. And then there's also healing others because Chiron, we eventually heal others for taking the time to work on ourselves. So people see you do that and they say, "Oh my goodness, Ellen, like that was so brave. That was so daring. You're so confident in your that decision you made. If you can do it, maybe I can do it too." Because I know Ellen, she's responsible. She would never do anything just on the spur of a moment like that. But look, she did, and she feels great. Even if it didn't work out, she's feeling really great that she gave herself a chance to do what she wanted to do. And maybe I can do that too. And it's healing. It's a great example to other people and it heals yourself and it heals others. And then the point here would be then if things don't work out the way you want them to, that is still healing when you let it go. The Pisces energy is saying, you have so much compassion for everybody else in this world. Please show yourself some. That you don't have to be hard on yourself when you try to do something for yourself and it doesn't work out. You would show everybody else compassion for that. So show yourself some too. And eventually you practice, repeat, and then you get to that point and it feels good. And then it just makes the whole red line opposition happy that you can be there for others and yourself, and both can be true. Okay, so those are the main points, but you could talk about your chart forever. I don't know what time I started, but I'll just keep going and you can always stop it and come back if you need to. I feel like every 15 minutes is a good stopping point in these because the readings themselves can, I mean, you could look at your same chart again and again and again. So if you need a break, that's fine. I still have something I want to talk about, so I will. And then whenever I get to a stopping point, then I will just go ahead and be done for this session. But what I think is interesting here too is that you have this is called your MC. This little arrow up here is the highlight of your chart. A lot of people have it. Well, I guess not a lot of people, but if you're born more towards the equator, this will be like more at the very top, but it's still the top of your chart in theory. This represents the highest point, like the highest potential. We say the bottom of your chart is where you come from, your roots, and you don't have a planet or a luminary or an asteroid here. So it lets me know that wherever you're coming from, the gifts that you received in this life is something that is still significant, of course, because all of our pasts are important. But your energy is not focused there. It's focused up here. So it's saying your public expression. It's not about where you came from that's taking your energy. It's where you're going that has your energy. You really have a strong desire to achieve in this life. So earlier in life, this could represent itself as that you were very ambitious, you were very driven, you would get a goal and you would crush it. You had tunnel vision for the things that you wanted to do and you would do it. And you have Mars here in conjunction. That's what's driving that energy. Mars, I said earlier, is our planet of war. So that means this is the part of my chart where I have to do it. This is where I'm driven to go. This is the gas. I want to go. And when it's on your MC, it's saying, I really want to see how high I could go in this life. I want to fulfill my potential in this world. And I'm going to feel restless if I'm not working on that all the time. I need to get there. So, this could have made you competitive. It still can. This is when we're going towards like our years of our life where we're still deciding what we're going to be and how we're going to do that and how high we're going to go up. A lot of times people relate this to our career paths because in this society, that's how we're most well recognized is what we do, right? But MC up here could be anything that you say you do. If I met you at a party and I said, hi, this is what I do. And your answer to that, hi, I'm Ellen. I blah, 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 whatever you say after that is your MC. That's what you're telling the world. That's what you're telling me. You want me to perceive you as. That is the height of your reputation. Whatever you say after you introduce yourself, that is your MC. So in the sign of Scorpio, that is an old ruler of Mars. So we would say this is a happy placement. Mars is comfortable in Scorpio because it has a really high drive to get what it wants. It's very ambitious and it's really about going the length. And I love that for you being a Capricorn rising. You get that. Your Capricorn and your Mars Scorpio MC loves a goal. You probably were really good at the long game. If you were into sports, you might have been like a long distance runner. These are people that it's not about the sprint, it's about the marathon. Give me your highest expectation, your biggest challenge, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to crush this, and people are going to have given up and fallen off way back there, and I'm still going and I'm going to get it. So, really, you with this energy, I mean, you could be anything you want. This could be somebody who went to school for a really long time, that their degree took years and years and years, but they just powered through it because they wanted to go as far as they could. Or this could be somebody who has a purpose that they feel like is in like the healing arts because the eighth house is the ruler of Scorpio. So now you have this repeat of energy where you're drawn to people who it's not so much what they're saying, but there's a story there. And you have this strong desire to really get to the depth of something. This is the water that is the deep well or the deep ocean. You just keep going down and down and down, and there's a lot of pressure there, and not everybody can do it or handle it. And sometimes it's dark, but there's something down there and you want to get to the very bottom of everything. You have this like detective mind about things. You want to know the whole truth, the bottom of it, and you're really interested in the motivations of why people do what they do. This is a very psychological sign. You don't need peace here, you need answers. You need to know why. And you might have asked why about things in school a lot, or you just might still. It's like when something gets your attention and there's more to know, you just really want to. And it might just be that you're not interested in just being appeased. You're okay if it's not the happiest outcome, but you want to go all the way. So whatever you do for your career, whatever you did do, this could be a good area to explore. Just knowing that you're gonna have probably more questions than everybody else, but you're willing to do the work to get to the answer. And the more complicated, and sometimes even the more taboo or um, unexplainable, the better. That only makes you more excited to go even deeper. But this is like the investigator, like the forensic files people. It doesn't have to be like gory like that or anything, but like a good mystery. You could find yourself being somebody who, over a long course of time, um, gets just grows in their expertise about things, almost that you could just learn about something to its depths indefinitely. You might be somebody that even after you retire, you just really like to have an obsession almost and just go all the way tunnel vision to the end of it. So, whatever you want that to be, it would be good to know just that you're not wasting your time on things that don't have a lot of depth. Or like there isn't anything more. That is it. It's a shallow experience. Like that would be the word of caution here would to be try to avoid any type of work where it is simple and there's not a lot to mystery here. There's nothing to dig up. It is face value. That can lead to feeling unfulfilled. You want more than that. You want it to be a little bit more complicated and worth your efforts. You don't want it to be something that everybody else could do. You want it to have to take some level of expertise or digging or wisdom or just time. You like things to be worth your effort. So let me see here. The last things that I wanted to talk about was Saturn, because Saturn rules your chart. Since you are a Capricorn rising, you're a Saturn ruled energy. And for you, that's interesting because you are going to have a Saturn return here soon, right? Because for all of us, Saturn is in Aries again. And for you, that means something because you are, let's see, this is the outer ring. So now I have more stuff up here. So this is the transit sky. This is what's happening today. And so your birth chart is on the inside. So once you learn your birth chart, you might find that you're interested in learning all the things that go on outside of it. And we won't get into that super much today, but if Saturn is here in about a year or so, it's going to be on your Saturn. So let's put it at 2027. Yep, and you'll be at your Saturn return here on April 18th, 2027. So that's a good day to mark on the calendar. Our Saturn return is when we get the full cycle of Saturn. It has gone all the way around our chart and it has returned to the place of origin. This gives us a really clear expression of what the energy is trying to show us. So in Saturn's case, Saturn is about responsibility, about learning lessons to help us be more self-accountable and accepting of the fruits of our labor. Have we been putting the work in, or have we been taking shortcuts? In your case, you're a Capricorn rising, so I joke that Capricorn rising people are kind of always in the Saturn return. That is their life. I feel like you people tend to work hard like your Saturn return is going to hit at any moment and you don't want the house to fall down. It's like the Three Little Pigs story and the wolf where he's trying to blow the house down. It's like chart people always are building out of brick because they don't want it to fall down ever. So I feel like then and this is my opinion. Every astrologer has a different story. My opinion is that Capricorn rising people have easier times at Saturn returns because they already live their life like that. But in any case, it's worth saying that this is equivalent to the American idea of like a midlife crisis. In that when Saturn comes around, it's like, okay, this is the time I get out my long-term plans again. Did I do that? I'm however many years old. Did I get where I wanted in my career? Did I get the house that I wanted? Am I living where I want to? Am I living with whom I want to? And if any of those things are not what you thought would be at this time in your life, there's a period of feeling like loss almost. Like Saturn can feel restrictive. Like I feel that loss now. I feel like I don't have as much as I thought I would at this point. And the point of the Saturn return is not to sit in that. It's about reworking what your goals are. Why do I feel that way? Well, let me look back at my goals. Were they completely ridiculous? Like, no, I'm not going to have a mansion or a Lamborghini. No, I never was made it to being an astronaut. Like, you have to look at the expectations you put on yourself and look at it with an eye of realism. The Saturn return at the end of the day is about realism. Are you realistic about what you can do? Are you doing what you could be doing? If you're not, then you might feel like, oh, I need to get back to work. Not literally, but like I don't need to just be doing nothing. Like I do have more to give. I need to be accountable for my potential. But it could also be realism in that my goals were ridiculous, and I am so glad that I'm mature enough now to know that that was never what I really wanted anyway. So see how the realism can go both ways. But it is the theme here is that we want to see like maturity in our lives as humans. We want to see that we've learned some lessons, we've matured from that, and we're not hitting the same wall in life over and over. So our first return is usually somewhere around 30 years old. And we see then that, are we growing up? Are we still living like a child? A lot of 30-year-olds, our first solar return is like, oh, do I still live with my parent? Oh man, I feel like I'm not doing what I should be doing. You know, you look at your peers and you compare yourself. But the point is to look at yourself, to yourself, of what your goals are and where you want to be. And is that happening? And if it's not, why? And then this way, by the next Saturn return, usually we get two or three in our lives, depending on how we live, that you can be like, yeah, wow, I matured a lot since then. I am doing well. And I'm really accountable for what did or did not happen. From our first Saturn return to our second Saturn return, I think best case is you look at your life and you say, wow, like that was all my doing. Like maybe life handed me ups or downs here, but I can really say, like, day in and day out, what my life looks like today is because of the choices that I made in those years, and I'm happy with how mature and self-reliable I am now that my life looks like this. But if that's not how you feel, then it's a good time between the second one and the third one to be more aware that the choices that we make every day does matter. And if we really do want something to change or we want to have something, in retirement or at the end, that we're actually putting in the effort every day, that this long-term goal is because a lot of everyday things happened to make it there, that we didn't just wake up later and get what we want. And that's why I think Capricorn rising people are okay most of the time because I feel like you already understand that and you're a Capricorn sun. So on some level, you already know that if I want B to happen, I have to do A every day to get to B eventually. I can't just hope for it. So you already have that realism. So I'm expecting that you are going to feel that sense of, my realism looks like pretty accurate for what it is. That is what it I am expecting. This is how my life looks, and I think I'm on my way to what I hope for the next one. I feel like my practical decisions for most of my days have led me to what I would expect my life to look like right now. And hopefully a little bit more excitement in there too with the North Node being in Aries, because it is important that you do shake things up a bit and that you follow that inspiration. And that can make your Saturn return happy too, because a lot of people have those quote midlife crisis because they didn't do that impulsive thing that they wanted to. And then they look on their Saturn return and they say, oh, I would have hoped that I would have more of an exciting story, maybe. But I think with your Aries North node, you're going to be able to say, like, hey, I actually did lean into what I want. And maybe I did do something impulsive sometimes just because I wanted to. And I value that in myself. And I'm really looking forward to not always having everything be completely predictable in my life. Okay, I will stop there. I feel like that's enough. But let me know if you have any questions. I'm so happy to chat more. You can tell this is what I do. I could talk about this all day. So just let me know what you think if you have any questions or you want me to clarify anything again. Okay, thanks so much, Ellen.